What do we got here? Streamer is going viral, claiming that a $10,000 check from Twitch isn't enough after expenses. I'm curious. I'm curious. Because let's be honest here, like, I more so want to talk about this sort of as like a way to, I don't know, more so pay attention to plight of streamers. But what do we have here?
Y'all know how expensive it is to keep up with content creation? You could get a 10K check from Twitch.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck is a 10K check when you gotta spend 5K on trips just to travel? $500.
I have an immediate question. 5K, dude? 5K to travel. Okay, like, I'm trying to think. Like, if you're an IRL streamer, like a travel IRL streamer or something, okay, I can understand that argument. But I think we're going to get to the Dexterdo article for additional context. She's talking about travels to cons and stuff that. Yeah, I think if they're really big travel, like for example, iShowSpeed, I believe is definitely gets like some form of sponsorship, I believe. And for a lot of travel streamer, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I think it's Nakey Jake, I think, or something, right? He's a travel streamer, I believe. He travels very often, I think. That's like the only dude I could think of in particular. But I'm trying to think, like, $5,000 a month per travel. Like, I'm trying to think, like, what? Accommodations, food. I guess it depends on how long you're staying there. What kind of plane tickets are you getting yourself? Are you getting like first class tickets like there and back? Like that's the only justification I could think of, like the 5K price tag. Like that's about it. But like what else is in this clip?
$500 on setup shit. Fucking $100 on setup shit.
$500 on setup shit, right? Webcams can be pretty expensive. I mean, it depends on the camera, obviously. Stream Deck, an Elgato Stream Deck is about like $130. That's Canadian dollars, of course, or fake Monopoly money. What else? Like for $500, like headset, mic, boom. Depending on the mic, if you get like a really nice condenser mic, they can be like $250, right? Like a really nice condenser mic. That's I think about it in terms of like stream setup. But yeah, okay, sure, makes sense.
Fucking $2,000 on your rent. Fucking $200 on Wi-Fi. $200 on IRL toolkit. You gotta pay the Clippers. Pay.
IRL toolkit. So that's why I mentioned for the $5,000 travel sort of fees. That's why I sort of like mentioned that before. Like that makes okay. It's like that makes sense to me, but then I took a look at her content and she doesn't really seem to do a lot of like IRL traveling stuff. Like she's just like what doing like Marvel Rival streams or something. So I'm like I don't want to be like bad faith here. I'm trying to be charitable and I'm trying to like think like what 5K for what? Yeah, like unless she's traveling international 2 times a month, 5K is excessive. That's what I'm thinking as well, Boy Meets Mini, right? I assume she probably lives in like Los Angeles, maybe even New York. More than likely Los Angeles for like cons and shit, because that's where a lot of cons tend to be. Either that or Las Vegas, but Las Vegas is not that far from Los Angeles, right? It's a relatively short flight or not that long of a car ride. Maybe like, 8-hour car ride, I'd say. That's not that bad. That's pretty standard fare. Like, about the same as what it would take to get to Ottawa from here, where I live, for example. But, like, 5K a month on travel. I'm just still a little confused. But, yeah, Clippers, what? I don't... Okay, another thing that I'm having a kind of an issue with is paying Clippers. I feel like paying Clippers is something that you shouldn't have to do, right? Like, Clippers are people who authentically really enjoy your content and want to make, like, sort of, like, for lack of a better term, like, fan cams of you yourself because you're such, like, I don't know, like a captivating personality, for example. such that like people will spend like hours editing up like small short videos about you, putting clips, spreading it on their TikToks, sort of like, I don't know, helping, using their algorithmic pull to centralize further around yourself, because they're always going to like credit the original person. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, paying clippers to do that, I can understand. Yeah, like, it makes sense, you want to pay them for their effort and their work, but generally speaking, like, most clippers are just going to do that for free because they're like authentic big fans of yours. And it's just like, I can understand the sentiment, be like, well, I mean, you're like putting in all this effort to just like constantly clip all the shit I'm saying. Like, I like, can I give you some fucking money, dude? Like, if I feel kind of bad otherwise. Like, what the fuck, man? That's like the only thing I could think of. I think she also is going to mention editors here. Like, editors, yeah, that makes sense. They're like directly, like, you directly hire them in order to benefit you. And that's like another thing with clippers as well. Like, you can also hire clippers as editors. You can do that too, right? It's like a pure win-win situation. I mean, that time you definitely start paying them. Like, obviously, if they're working full time under you and your channel, right? Like, it makes sense, right?
YouTube editor.
Huh?
Chat, I don't think y'all realizing I be going into negative doing this shit. Okay? Y'all know how.
I'm like, okay, I'm like, it's like that. What's that fucking drill tweet, for example, saying like, okay, I need help balancing this fucking budget, and he lists like a bunch of fucking like stuff that seems to have like a normal price, and then there's like this one abnormal like $3,600 charge on like candles or some shit, and like the joke is basically like, whoa, maybe you should not spend so much on like fucking aromatic candles or some shit. But it's supposed to be like a really ridiculous sort of like a play off of that or something. Like that's really about it, to be honest. Like, that's like really the only thing I could think of in particular. It's a joke, obviously, but like I still don't understand, like, 5K a month on travel. You know, maybe, listen, we'll take a look at the article. I need some additional context here. But what do we have here? Twitch streamer goes viral explaining how 10K payout doesn't cover expenses. A Twitch streamer sparked a wave of viral criticism after claiming that a 10K check from the platform isn't enough to live on. Streamers comparing their jobs to more traditional forms of employment almost always cause some controversy, and this latest situation is no different. Okay, like, I really dislike this, to be honest. I don't really understand why, like, this is something that causes, like, a controversy, right? Because for a lot of, like, say, mid-tier and smaller fucking streamers, broadly speaking, it is a struggle for them to be fucking successful. Like, let's be honest here. Yeah, and I agree with you, Boy Meets Mini. Yeah, streamers do work more than most corporate execs and managers. I 1000% agree with that. Like, that's not even a fucking goddamn, like, question. Yeah, corporate executives and managers travel to their own fucking conventions all the fucking time. This is a thing that constantly happens. But again, like, it's because, like, a lot of people who comment on this, like, don't have to go travel for conventions and stuff like that for their fucking work. Like, that's not a thing that, generally speaking, also happens, right? Because they're just, like, I don't know, stuck in the fucking wagey cagey, for example. It's like, dog, like streamers do a lot more fucking work. And now it also depends on what you're talking about as well. So I'm going to use myself a little bit here as an example. I am a political content creator, right? My sort of, I guess, conduct within my own channel about how I cover certain topics or whatnot is inherently, I suppose, controversial and alienating to larger, broader audiences. And I acknowledge that it's because I do not desire really to build like a larger, broader audience. I am okay with calling out behaviors that I think are injustifiable and wrong, to be honest. I have no problems with talking about particularly like difficult fucking topics because I think it is important to shine a spotlight on these fucking topics. No matter how big or small I may be, right? I think it is important to talk about these issues because like a lot of other people are not going to because it's too like I'm trying to think of what the correct term is. Like controversial for them. It's not efficacious for them to do as such. However, what do I sacrifice in order to be able to do this? Well, is a lot of like conventional like algorithmic growth in terms of like a successful content like channel or as a successful content creator. That is what I risk in particular with what I do. Now, I've seen this like I took a look before talking about this streamer's sort of content, and it seems like it's pretty like normal stuff. She plays games and does IRL stuff and just chatting. Like pretty like normal sort of like streamer behavior kind of a thing. But if we're talking about like say I don't know like ASMR channels or like booby streamers or like loot tubers for example, right? A lot more of those people in particular are going to have a much harder time in terms of being content creators due to the nature of their work because they want to be a little bit more sexually explicit, and we are living in a particular time in a moment in history where I don't know, sexual repression seems to be the fad at the moment. So for them, they have a lot harder time sort of like growing and becoming like more successful in themselves. And you know, there's all like a sort of like patriarchal thing. Yeah, like you're saying, Boy Meets Mini as well. Payment processors will drop those creators all the fucking time. This is like what, for example, I think there's like a recent thing as well on like Fansly with like MasterCard dropping a particular sort of part of threatening to drop Fansly as like a payment processor because of like certain content that was on there, right? Like this is a thing that happens all the fucking time. Literally, constantly. This happens very, very often. And I find it very strange because it's a lot more difficult for people to break out when they are smaller creators because of just, well, how sort of like, I don't know, hostile? I don't want to say hostile. How much of like a non-factor, non-help that Twitch's algorithms, search engine optimization. Of course, it depends on the tags mostly, right? That's like the main sort of like algorithmic booster that exists for Twitch. It's purely just tag shit, to be honest. How like you are able to like get more eyeballs on you is how it works. I mean, of course, YouTube has its own algorithmic system, blah 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 blah. It's much harder for a lot of smaller content creators to be able to sort of branch out and like sprout and become like I don't know successful in this environment because of the fact that well everything is judged by the holy algorithm, and like if something's like too controversial you're gonna sort of like see problems, and like the system itself will work against you, not to mention like all the people who are gonna get like triggered at your content or whatever. But you can always like listen, like someone once said, like any publicity is good publicity, right? You can always take that to your advantage. All I'm saying out there is that yeah, sure, I mean like I can understand like expenses being really fucking bad, but like the 5K a month thing is just like the main thing that I'm mostly trying to point out here. Is just like that's like the one inconsistent fucking thing. Like yeah, obviously like I think streamers in comparison to like corporate executives and a lot of other people do like way more fucking work in order to be like successful creators in comparison to a lot of what like other like IRL sort of like jobs and positions. But most of the people that have problems with this are just like individuals who just are like I don't know, people stuck in the fucking wagey cagey, and they're just like mad about the fact that they're stuck in the wagey cagey. And I understand, yeah, the wagey cagey fucking sucks, but everyone has to deal with the fucking wagey cagey. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate. What else do we have here? Twitch streamer snowwcone with 2 W's has gone viral after revealing how making $120K yearly from the Amazon-owned platform isn't enough because of how expensive being a creator actually is. Massive expenses spark backlash. So this is like the original clip, basically. During a broadcast, Snowcone explained how keeping up with content creation is extremely expensive for her and listed out why her costs are so high. You can get a 10K check from Twitch. What the fuck is a 10K check when you gotta spend 5K on trips just to travel? Again, like, I don't understand why she's spending this much to travel. Unless she's, like, again, like an IRL streamer, like a travel streamer, then, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But as far as I can tell, she's not. So it's a little strange that he's saying this. 500 in setup shit, 2,000 on rent, 200 on Wi-Fi, 200 on Wi-Fi. I'm curious, like, what deal is she getting for 200 bucks on Wi-Fi? And I'm assuming this is 200 US. This is insane. 200 IRL kit, pay the clippers, YouTube editors. Chat, I don't think you realize, but I'm going negative doing this shit. Snowcone explained the situation more during her broadcast, noting how she was at a point in her career where she needed to travel to events to elevate her content and make connections. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, sure. If we're talking about cons, whereas typically that's where connections are made. Otherwise, connections, broadly speaking, through streaming are made through collaborational efforts that you have with other streamers / rating. There's already sort of like mechanisms within Twitch itself that facilitate that, but to what degree is that particularly efficacious? That's whatever. Yeah, you're probably right, Boy Meets Mini. It could be a mobile hotspot, and that's why she's paying so much for like Wi-Fi and stuff. That would make sense, to be honest. Which would make sense for the IRL kit stuff, right? Because you would need a mobile hotspot for that. That makes sense then. We're at a stage where all the money gets reinvested into the career. All my money from streaming goes back into streaming. I think this month I made negative $1,000 because every penny goes to trips, paying editors, paying clippers, or buying shit for the setup. Now, I'm assuming what she means by buying shit for the setup, because I saw, like, she also has, like, from, like, the thumbnails, I believe. She does, like, little cosplays as well. So I think that can also make sense in terms of, like, stream setup, I suppose. But, again, the main thing is, like, it's just the travel stuff, right? It's just the 5K a month for travel. That's the main thing that I'm saying. Like, well, you can cut there. Like, you don't have to spend 5K a month on travel. Like, that seems a little crazy to me. Or buying food or plane tickets to make stuff, to make content. Your Twitch paycheck could be 11K a month, but when you have to spend 5K on trips alone to travel to make connections, I have 3K a month on bills alone, rent, Wi-Fi, phone, footage of Snowcone's rant explode on social media, being viewed over 11 million times, with many users baffled by how much he spends. How do you squander 10K? One remarked. Imagine spending 60K on travel, said another. If you're paying that much for just Wi-Fi, then you need to switch providers, because I have 1 gig for 90 a month. Someone else chimed in. Well, again, mobile hotspot stuff, because I'm assuming what she mentioned she has an IRL setup, right? So mobile hotspot stuff can be very, very fucking expensive because it's all satellite stuff. Not knowing how to live and create content on 10K a month is a skill issue, VTuber Ellie commented. I don't just really disagree with that. It's just like the 5K a month on travel stuff. That's like that's the main thing that just confuses me. It's just like 5K a month on travel. Why are you traveling so much every month? That's like the main thing I want to hyper fixate on. Because again, if you're a small streamer, it makes sense why you struggle. Okay, you're struggling to get up in the world. You don't have clippers. You don't have YouTube editors. You're a small fucking channel. You're mostly doing things yourself. At least that's how it is for me. I'm a fucking one-man army here, okay? I edit my own shit. I edit my own fucking clips. I put up my own fucking videos. I make my fucking goddamn thumbnails. I don't do any annotations. Ain't nobody got time for that shit. Although I probably should make like fucking in the annotation stuff within the videos. I ain't got time for that shit, okay? That's gonna take way too fucking long, and I already have like enough of a backlog for fucking editing and stuff like that. So it's what it is. Yeah, exactly. I like, relatively speaking, I am on a roll. It's just a slow roll. And I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. I have time to be able to do this, right? And yeah, I've put in a lot of effort in order to be able to build up some momentum for myself. And, hopefully it continues. It spikes. It goes faster. But again, like, that's really out of my control. I can't do anything about that, right? Besides, keep putting stuff up and seeing where it goes, to be honest. At least that's how I think of it. But yeah, it's just the 5K a month of travel stuff. That's like the main thing that I'm just like, 5K a month of travel. Crazy. As for why snowwcone doesn't cut down on expenses by editing videos herself, she claims she's too busy live on Twitch, in meetings, or traveling. This isn't again, where is he traveling all the time? That's the only question. Why cutting down on expense? Like, okay, why editing the videos? Like, okay, I can understand that that's like a potential expense, but how much do you pay for like an editor, right? I have no idea, of course, but like, depending on like the deal, like maybe like her YouTube channel, like, money goes to her editor. At least that's like the deal that a lot of the bigger streamers have, but that's because they have bigger channels. It's a little confusing to me. This isn't the first time streamers have come under fire while discussing how their jobs differ from standard employment. We have seen creators argue streaming is more difficult than most 9-to-5 jobs, and some, such as DeFran, have even tried their luck at typical jobs only to eventually return to Twitch. Yeah, I remember that happening. That was pretty funny. But yeah, like, okay. I mostly just want to use this as like a vector to talk about I suppose the bigger plights of smaller content creators, because they are the ones who, I guess, generally speaking, suffer more problems in terms of content creation, in terms of like editing and stuff, because you have to spend a ton of time fucking editing your own videos and shit like that. At least that's in my case. The only thing I can really point to, again, is just like 5K a month on travel. Where are you constantly traveling to in order to like meet with people and stuff that you couldn't do over like a Discord call or a Zoom meeting? That's like the main thing. Unless she's got like something big in the fucking works or something. That's like the most confusing thing to me. Oh, you're 1000% correct there, Boy Meets Mini. Yeah, like smaller content creators is what makes Twitch a unique platform. That's true. Yeah. The fact that Twitch has a relatively like low barrier to entry. Yeah. Like I mostly just want to talk about this in terms of like a sort of like a vestige to talk about the problems with like smaller content creators, because they're the ones who typically struggle more, or like say like ASMR channels, or like lewd tubers and people who engage in like more lewd content because of like societal stigmatisms, and also like a bunch of other like factors and stuff like that with like payment processors. Like, honestly, like all I have to say to snowwcone here is just like, yeah, why are you spending 5K a month on travel? That's like the only fucking question that I have. Like, unless you're doing like international trips like constantly a month, like 5K on travel, there's no way, dude. But I don't know, that's like really the only sort of like I don't know, 2 cents that I have on this. I would prefer to just talk about like the plight of like smaller creators and whatnot. I think that honestly they are the more important people to focus on. But I don't know, I think that's all I really got to say about any of this stuff, to be honest.